This is Kreskin. Of course, you know me as the Amazing Kreskin, and I'm not asking you to read my thoughts. I've got to share my thoughts and feelings and experiences with you as well. You know, I've gotten a great response on my commentary on various motion pictures. I love a great movie. I don't get to see many these days, but there certainly are some very fine movies being made and directed, and in the past, my God, it is an avalanche of masterpieces. I have always enjoyed a good horror movie, not because of gore or violence, but because of the way they were put together and the direction, what have you. I'm not saying they are my favorite movie, because I don't have a favorite. I love a great musical. I love an action story. This horror movie was referred to me. It's fairly new and being seen recently, although it was made some time ago in the past. The movie is Miracle Valley, and it deals, as I found out after I saw the movie, with a cult group, a group of cultists who had their own theories. Part of the theories not too stable, not too sane, off the wall, if you will, but they truly existed. As a matter of fact, by the 1980s, they had settled in Arizona, a town called, I believe, Miracle Valley, Arizona, and increased as a group. I'm not going to tell you and give away the entire movie story. It will remain not one of my favorite movies. Indeed, to be honest with you, it's one of the most violent movies I've ever seen in my life. And this is after seeing war pictures and what have you. It just seemed like the capturing of the story and the insanity of the beliefs that this group had, and the healing that dealt with the blood of certain colors or people or passengers, that this was a key to solving an illness that an individual had. But that isn't the criticism of the movie. The movie just reeks in unbelievable, noisy, violent, and at the same time, visual, damaging activity. Very disturbing. I found it to be such. There is a law enforcement group that was in Miracle Valley, Arizona, that attempted to control and stabilize the activities of this organization, this, quote, healing group. How successful they were, I can't really say. The impression I have in studying the background and the history of this organization is that they were far from successful. Part of the treatment that this group had in supposedly healing others is nothing new, not by any means. Part of the treatment was beating the sufferers very severely. That found its way into many, many healing organizations through the years. They also had sleep deprivation as another key factor. It's something which people can suffer with if they're not given the opportunity to sleep properly, but it's also something that individuals struggle with if they are not allowed to sleep. And needless to say, a group like this would find this unnatural, along with the beatings. This continued, and finally it started to break apart because the law enforcement people amassed large groups at times to descend upon this organization and try to stabilize them. I'm not saying that the law enforcement group was always wise in the way they handle it, but when you're working with individuals that are mentally unbalanced, irrational in their thinking, wild in some of their treatments, you can understand that maybe at that time they didn't have the best solution to the problem, nor a sufficiently large number of individuals that would be stabilizing as far as law enforcement people are concerned. They finally relocated in Harvey, Illinois. I understand that there's still evidence that members of the group exist there as well. But am I advising this to you as a motion picture? Not really, because it was one of the most violent movies the most violent movie I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen violent movies, but the way this was put together, I guess you start identifying with some of the victims and so forth. And we have to understand in those days, treatments were not always handled with great wisdom. I'm not suggesting you see the movie. I'm suggesting that if you want to find a very exciting movie, this certainly will prove to be one of them. It was quite disturbing to find a four-letter word used so frequently in this movie. It wasn't necessary. I don't give a damn how skillful the author of the movie was in writing the story, because I can remember almost each of the times this four-letter word came up. And I don't need to use the word. What you're imagining is probably correct. I'll leave it as it is. It's something that I'd be interested in hearing your follow-up commentary on, and I will continue when the opportunity accrues itself to look in on a motion picture and share my thinking with you. Hopefully I can do that soon again, God willing.